Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us today. Our topic is the healing power of food. And it's really a great topic, something that we're all interested in. And my guest is one of the leading experts in nutrition, who's also a naturopathic physician, Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci, who's written 10 books translated into 9 languages, including Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough, Turn Back the Clock, Reset the Scale, Replenish Your Power. That sounds fantastic. We all want to do it. Dr. Kellyanne, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here today.
I love the show, and I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, well, we're just thrilled to have you. You know, we've been hearing so much about healthy foods, in particular bone broth. I love that you sort of coin a phrase called slimgestion. And what exactly does that mean when you talk about slimgestion?
It seems so natural for me to create this word because good digestion helps you become slim. That's all that means. It's just a missing point that I've seen over the years. People come into my practice, or they've come to me over the years, and they say, Dr. Kellyanne, I can't lose weight no matter what I do. I'm aging like rapid fire. My joints are achy. I'm bloated all the time. I'm deep down tired, like I'm pregnant with triplets. I don't know what to do. And what I found over the years is that there is a direct connection to all of these things to gut health. So getting slim, if that is something that you desire, and so many of us do, and we're looking to all kind of other ways to do that. If you're looking for a natural way to get slim, something that's sustainable and something that works, I love the idea of becoming super healthy, having bionic digestion, and therefore becoming slim, because it's the best kind of slim.
So when you talk about gut health, you're really just talking about getting a lot of those good bacteria in the gut, right?
Yeah, because what people don't realize is that we actually have more of these gut microbes. They clock in at about 40 trillion, just under 40 trillion. We have more of these microbes than we do actual cells in our body. And that's huge. And so the name of the game in this is making sure that the good bugs, the healthy bugs, what we want in our bodies, because one of the things I learned when I was studying in Europe, the doctor said, by the way, folks, we actually are bags of bugs. And the name of the game is to keep us in the clear with the bad bugs, meaning don't ever let the bad bugs overpower the good bugs. Because when you are populated with good bugs, everything gets easier. And if you can get a mind's eye view of this, if you think about your intestines being about 25 feet long, that adds up to about 4 refrigerators stacked up back to back. That's a long travel area for your food to have to go through. So what you want to always keep in mind is staying in a cleansed state, not a clogged state. There's just a couple of tools that you need. It's not as hard as people may think. And it doesn't take as long to transform into being slim, feeling healthier, feeling younger. It doesn't take as long as we think either.
Well, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to have a healthy gut. And, you know, I go to the grocery store and I buy a probiotic and I take one every day. So my gut's probably pretty healthy, right?
This is a really great question. Because like everything else, there's actually more to it than that. And here's why. Your gut does so many things for us, and there's so many pathways. Think about this. We have a gut-brain connection, meaning your gut is directly linked to how you feel. Serotonin, dopamine, all of these type of hormones and neurotransmitters that help us feel better, that help us feel stable, that help us feel like we're in a good mood. All of these things, they're charged by a large part from the gut. And we have the gut-skin barrier, that pathway there, meaning that if you want really robust, beautiful skin, it starts in the gut. So we all want a healthy gut, like you said, but here's how you have to think about it. What foods are going to provide me with the properties that I need to help fertilize my gut and make the good bacteria stick to my gut. So what that means is you've got to have pre and probiotics. If you're getting a good probiotic, and how you know it's a good probiotic is, are you buying from somebody you know, love, and trust? Start buying from companies that you know do the right things, that have integrity, that do the right things. Take that probiotic, but also here's how you triple protect yourself, almost like an insurance, Start eating foods that have those qualities as well. When you're cooking, use onions, use things like leeks, use things like scallions. A lot of the cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli and cauliflower and bok choy and asparagus, these are loaded with these prebiotics that help us not only fertilize our gut, so it's healed and sealed. So think about that: cleansed and clogged, healed and sealed, vitally important. These go in and they help us create that fertilization. So then those probiotics can stick. So what are the probiotics? The probiotics are things like kimchi, which is how I get mine, which is a fermented vegetable. You buy them in jars. We hear a lot about kombucha. Kombucha can be satisfying. You have to check the label, watch for sugar content. This is very important with kombucha, or you're not going to reach your goal. And the other thing is pickles. When you buy pickles, there's a trick. Not any pickle will do. Make sure it doesn't have vinegar on the label, but it's actually fermented. So a lot of them just have vinegar in them, and doesn't give you the probiotic quality. If you're going to buy yogurt, okay, about 80% of the people that I've seen in practice, a lot of the issues that they're dealing with before they get that flame out of their body and they teach their body to regulate sugar properly, before their gut is healed, oftentimes dairy is not optimal for them. But if you're one of those people that can handle dairy and you're going to have a yogurt, just make sure, again, it doesn't have a lot of sugar, because that's not going to be combative. It's not going to do the trick.
So when you talk about kimchi, how do you eat that? Do you put it on your salad? You're not supposed to heat it up, right?
Well, you can if the temperature isn't too high. Here's how a lot of my patients have had it over the years. They want to get it over with. They want to just say, I know I've had my really strong probiotic, so I'm going to have some eggs, or they're going to have something in the morning, and they're going to have a little side of that kimchi in the morning. If you make salads, as you suggested, it's really it's a nice addition. We want to have these prebiotics. We want to have those probiotics, because they're going to add that fiber that's going to help cleanse and not clog, and they're going to help your gut become healed and sealed. So that's a really good start. And just think of it. Okay, this is like fermented cabbage. Anywhere or any meal in which I would want a salad, this is a great option.
All right, we're going to take a break and be right back with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci. The book is called Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are talking with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci, author of the book, Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. Turn back the clock, reset the scale, replenish your power. And right before the break, you were talking about all these wonderful prebiotics and probiotics. Where does bone broth fit into this whole gut microbiome situation?
Bone broth pulls so many levers. And when you're into health, when you're into wellness, and you know what you're looking for is to transform your patient, to transform them in a way that they feel slim, they feel young, they feel healthy, they feel energized. When you see something that check, does so many things, you become really interested. And I wrote a book called The Bone Broth Diet several years back, and I became very interested as I started doing test groups and I started studying, actually putting this to the test and seeing, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. When I start using bone broth with people, they're able to do a couple of things. Number one, for people who can't intermittent fast, they say, oh my gosh, I clunk out, I don't feel well. It provides that stability that you need so you don't feel like you're white knuckling it, because Bone broth's got a nice little fix of collagen, a nice little fix of protein in there. It's got amino acids. It's got a lot of different nutritional elements in there. It keeps you warm from your head to your toes. It's very, very, this is my favorite thing, restorative. And this is what people need. People are burned out. They're tired. Their engine needs a break. They need things to fire up their liver. They need things to fire up their thyroid, their adrenals, all of these facets of the body, which become very depleted and make you run on no energy, which ages you like rapid fire. Bone broth seem to really add that restorative mix to it. Talk about getting slimmer, talk about getting younger. I have not, in my history of 25 plus years doing this for a living, I have not seen anything that's been as good of an addition to the diet to actually have this happen than bone broth, which is why I'm spending all my time professing you've got to get this in your diet.
So how do we do that? You recommend about 2 cups a day, right? So do you make it at home in the crock pot? Doesn't that take like a day to kick it? Or on the stove? Don't you have to do it for like 24 hours? Can you really leave your stove on that long, or the crock pot plugged in while you're sleeping?
Oh, there's ways around that. There's ways around that. And I love this question. Before I answer this question, I want to just kind of add an adjunct onto what I said, which is, we talked about slimgestion, and we talked about healed and sealed. We talked about cleansed, not clogged. Bone broth, from what I can see in all of the hundreds and thousands of transformations that we have clocked in. Kristen just got on the cover of Woman's World magazine. She's one of our transformations, lost over 100 pounds, getting her digestion in order and healing her gut using bone broth, as well as other elements to our programs. It heals and seals your gut so beautifully. So start getting it in your diet. I recommend 2 cups a day, and have this just like you would coffee, tea, or your favorite latte. Add it in. A lot of people add it in the morning. They have it again when they're starting to feel that kind of that sluggishness. They add that in. You can make beautiful, what I call broth loading soups. It's one of my favorite things. Like back in the day, there was always a cauldron on the stove with this beautiful broth and these soups. Start getting used to that. Start making that habitual in your home, because it makes such a big difference. You can also put bone broth in ice cube trays, stick it in the freezer. Whenever you want to saute anything, throw one of those cubes in there, add it to anything that you can. And you don't have to make it from scratch. If you do, I suggest a pressure cooker, because it takes just a couple of hours, but there are even better ways. Now there are products, I actually have these myself, that come in powdered form, dehydrated forms, that have beautiful, unbelievable flavors, things like French onion, Thai lemongrass, rosemary, thyme. They're delicious, and you can add them to all kinds of dishes and meals. Add them to everything you can, because you want that hit of collagen. You want that hit of protein. You want all of those nutrients. You want that glycine in the bone broth, because that glycine in the bone broth is really, really powerful. It's a powerful natural source of this glutamine and glycine, because your gut wall is very thin. This is something else that I want everyone to get in their mind and lock this in as you're making choices. Your gut wall is has that lining is very, very thin. So you need things that go in there like spackle, that are going to go in there and go against our everyday elements that we face all of the time, which break that wall down. Even stress, lack of sleep, taking medications that maybe we've had to take throughout the years. All of these things actually break down that wall, and we need to get it healthy. We need to get it nourished. Bone broth goes in there with that glycine, with that glutamine. It goes in there and it starts creating a very, very healthy gut wall. So do add this into your diet. Do add bone broth in for that gut healing, healed and sealed effect that you're going to get. And as they say in health and nutrition, this is a really important point, the one-offs don't matter. So people think, well, can you actually live like this? I mean, talk about eating healthy all the time. I absolutely live, and I enjoy a lot of things, because I know that my gut is in good shape. I know those 25 feet of intestines. I know I've done the work, and I can go out and I can explore. I can do things. I can have fun. I can go out to dinners. I can have a normal life, but you have to put the time in. And how I accomplish this, and how I know I'm always on an upward trajectory, how I know I'm always accomplishing what I want, is I have bone broth in my diet. Whether it's a soup, whether I'm popping a cube in somewhere, I always have it in my diet.
So easy and so delicious. All right, we're going to take another break and be right back with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci. The book is called Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. Stay with us. Welcome back, and we are talking with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci. The book is Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. And we talked before about the benefits of prebiotics and probiotics and bone broth. But, you know, you mentioned kombucha earlier. We have to watch out for the sugar content of that. And, you know, you mentioned maybe not dairy for so many people. Let's talk about some of the things that harm our gut. Can you go over that list?
You're going to be surprised to hear this, but one of the things that harm our gut, and I would say it's one of the biggest ones that most of us face, is stress. So whenever you're in a state of stress, the hormones in your body, these cortisol, these catecholamines, all of these things that run through your body, your cells don't like this, and your cells start breaking down. So one of the best things that you can do for your overall health, for a healthy gut, to be slimmer, to be younger, all of these things, to feel more energized, is to really not just hear it as a passing thought. Yeah, I've got to manage my stress. Yeah, I have to do this. But really get some kind of practice management in your life on a regular basis. I have people who do everything from meditation to light yoga to tapping, all kinds of things, whatever works for you, to get in there and make sure that your cells are not in that agitated state, because that breaks down that gut wall. Processed foods are another one. So let's talk about some of the big hitters. Now, this is a little controversial, but this is something that I've seen firsthand. So one of the benefits that I have of not just doing health and wellness, but actually being on the clinic floor and actually really logging in literally hundreds and thousands of transformations, is that you get to kind of look at this algorithm, if you will, and you see, okay, this patient did this, and then this happened, and this patient did this, and this happened. And so one of the things that I see, that when patients come in and they're clobbered and they feel all of these things and they feel like, gosh, I feel aimless. I don't know what to do. I feel sad. I feel depressed. I feel like I can't get the weight off. What's the point? What's the bother anymore? I feel like I'm aging like rat. All these things that you feel. One of the things that people do that makes such a difference is they retire from grains for a period of time. And then they start adding in the healthier energy carbs, as they call them. But grains actually can fatigue your gut. So you want to be careful. You don't want to add too many. So what do I mean by grains? Anything that has wheat or gluten in them. We think about bagels, we think about breads, we think about pastries, we think about those cakes, all of those things. And you think, yeah, we know that. There's nothing new here. But what might be new is to understand that there's certain foods, and I know, guys, because I've studied this, when I did a book way back, and I really looked at foods and how they affect your genetics. And I pulled up this article, and it was from the New England Journal of Medicine, which is a very credible source. And they talked about these foods, and this changed my whole career. They talked about these foods that actually work better with your body. And that inspired me to write a lot of paleo books and henceforth the bone broth and all of these things that I learned through this type of living, but really understanding how foods affect our genes. And am I saying never have a grain again? No. Do I live like that? No. But what I'm saying is, if you're feeling some of these things that I talked about, then maybe taking a pause and seeing how things affect you, and then adding in some of the energy carbs, which may provide you with energy without damaging the gut on a regular and routine basis. Mm-hmm. So I'm very measured and more deliberate about when I eat grains. So if I go, there's one restaurant in particular, they make these things called poppers, and it's a bread, and it's absolutely divine. I'm going to eat that. If I am at a home style place where they make their own pasta, and I grew up Italian and I love pastas. This is how I grew up and it's in my genes. I'm measured about how I do these things. It's not hodgepodge anymore. I actually strategize because I sat back one day and I thought, how is it that I achieve what I want to achieve? How is it that I feel good about myself, my life, my body? It's because I get a little bit strategic and I'm not hodgepodge about it. So I know about 80% of the time, I'm going to eat these foundational foods, partly these pre and probiotics that we're speaking of. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to add these in. But for the most part, a lot of grains, particularly grains on a regular basis, in the patients and the people that write in, they tend to not do well. So if you want a breakthrough, that's what the bone broth breakthrough is about. If you want to really have a breakthrough, you can live, you can enjoy your life. I can affirm and attest to that. But sometimes you have to take a pause on things for a while and then understand, what are the grains I can eat that are not going to be a negative, that are going to be, they're going to be more of a positive. I don't eat things that are a zero-sum game for me. I eat things that I know I'm going to get some kind of benefit. So I'm always thinking that if I eat this, I get some kind of, because that's how you stay young, folks. That's how you stay young.
All right. We're going to take one final break and be right back with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci. The book is called Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion with Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci. The book is Dr. Kellyanns Bone Broth Breakthrough. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but tell folks where they can get the book and find out more about you, Dr. Kellyanne.
Oh, I'd love that. I would love for you to join my community. We put out a lot of great content on gut healing and great foods and bone broth. It's at drkellyann.com. You can also find all of my products and my book, The Bone Broth Breakthrough. I know you're going to love. You can find that on Amazon. Every bookstore out there has it. It was on the publisher's list, which is a pretty big deal, which means people are really enjoying this. So I hope you get a copy of The Bone Broth Breakthrough. Check me out. I'm on all social media, Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci, no E at the end.
All right. Well, thanks again for being here. It was great talking to you. Very inspiring. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks to you for tuning into this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. We'll see you again next week.